Hey, what's up guys? So when it comes to AMD's RX 5700 XT, it is pretty much unbeatable when it comes to overall value. The reference 5700 XT is priced very competitively at $399 and this undercuts Nvidia's RTX 2070 Super by a significant amount. There is a small performance difference between the two as well though. On average you're looking about 5 to 7% in favor of the 2070 Super, but at a 25% higher cost. However, the general recommendation was to wait. Don't buy the 5700 XT just yet, wait until the aftermarket models come out because the reference model really does suck when it comes to thermals and noise levels. So the 5700 XT Gaming X from MSI is an example of an ultra premium cooler design slapped on the 5700 XT GPU, and today we're going to see how it does in terms of thermals and noise comparisons versus the AMD reference model, but also Nvidia's RTX 2070 Super. So it's one thing to look at bar charts and just throw the 5700 XT at you guys due to its overall value, but when the usability and thermal performance of the card sucks, I can totally understand why people would shell out the extra cash for a 2070 Super. So the Gaming X 5700 XT then. First up, I think it's one of the best looking graphics cards on the market. If MKBHD designed a graphics card, it would probably look something like this. MSI's previous Gaming X models had a pretty aggressive gamer aesthetic, but this is definitely a lot cleaner. The card is built very nicely too. The shroud is mostly a hard thick plastic with some aluminium trim on the surface. Two 100mm fans are up to the task of cooling the large heatsink. We'll see how loud those get in just a second. The fin stack array is oriented like most open air coolers, venting the hot air towards the motherboard and out of the front of the card. Limited RGB illumination here, which is fine by me. This is customizable in their software, and the backplate is similar to the other Gaming X models, a nice brushed aluminium. Now, whereas most 5700 XTs will take a 6+ 8-pin power connector, including the reference design, the Gaming X will take a dual 8-pin. For display output, you're looking at a fairly standard assortment here, 3 display ports and 1 HDMI. Overall, the Gaming X is a pretty beefy card, so make sure that you've got enough room for this one in your case. It's 27mm longer than the reference card at 297mm, it's 20mm taller at 130mm, and thickness is 57mm, making this almost a 3-slot card. So no, this will not fit in slim, small form factor cases with only 2 PCI expansion slot clearance. Disassembly of the card is pretty simple. You've got 4 main screws around the GPU die and a few more secondary screws which are all the same type. There's an aluminium base plate making contact with the GDDR6 memory modules, and the thermal pads underneath those seem overall sufficient. That is except for 2 of the modules which are unfortunately neglected with a narrower pad, which as you can see only covers about half of the modules. I did connect a K-type thermocouple to these 2 modules to see whether we'd see something alarming, but thankfully that was not the case. The surface temperature of these modules was actually a bit lower than what we were seeing logged by the internal sensors. Other than that, fairly typical Gaming X cooler and heatsink that we've seen time and time again. There are 6 nickel-plated copper heat pipes in total, 5 of those being 4mm in thickness and 1 of those being 6mm. Also, the thermal pads for the chokes are a bit short, but thankfully the actual MOSFETs for the VRM are sufficient. Now let's jump to the thermal data, the most important topic for a graphics card review in my opinion, and here we're going to compare directly to AMD's reference model. So here we're looking at how the 2 cards perform on an open test bench with a Heaven 4.0 loop at 4K resolution with a controlled ambient room temperature of 19 degrees C. So here we can observe about a 9-degree difference in peak GPU temperature after 20 minutes, and although that doesn't sound like much, this is with the Gaming X running significantly quieter than the reference model and at a higher GPU clock speed as well. Another thing worth pointing out is that the fans don't start spinning on the Gaming X until it reaches around 62 degrees C, so that's why you see the temperature curve peak in the beginning, then lower, then slowly rise again. Next, let's look at the difference between the GPU hotspot temperatures, a parameter where the reference card is a real problem, easily hitting 100 degrees C. The Gaming X is thankfully a lot more controlled in this regard, peaking at a much lower 87 degrees C. Again, this is with a significantly lower noise level and fan RPM too. Looking at the temperature of the memory modules now, the values are actually pretty close between the two, but thankfully still within a safe range. The peak values between the two were within 2 degrees C. VRM MOSFET thermals were were about the same between the two at around 65 degrees C. Again, these values are well within a normal range. Looking at the GPU clock speed now, the Gaming X leads the reference card by about 70 MHz, which is great to see. Also, don't mind the significant dips down to 0 MHz. This seems to be an issue with the drivers or the monitoring software. The GPU doesn't actually stop working for a second at a time. So overall, this is a little nice boost over stock, especially when the card is running much cooler and much quieter as well. Gaming performance between the two is virtually the same, and further testing here would be kind of redundant. It's the same GPU at the end of the day. The big difference is the quality of the cooler. Overall, this GPU can manage high frame rates at 1440p, making it a great match for a 1440p 144Hz monitor, or even a 1080p 240Hz monitor. Now in terms of noise, I don't have the 5700 XT reference model here with me to compare noise levels with, but I can show you that the 5700 XT Gaming X is exceptionally quiet even at full load. If you're wondering why I bothered comparing noise levels with the Founders Edition RTX 2070 Super, that's because you can expect the 5700 XT Gaming X to be priced pretty close to that $500 mark. In fact, the confirmed price with my contact over at MSI is $549 US, which is actually positioned above the baseline model RTX 2070 Supers, including the Founders Edition. And those baseline models are extremely competitive. The $500 Founders Edition 2070 Super performs pretty decent in terms of thermal. The noise levels are also just as low as the 5700 XT Gaming X, as you heard, and the most important detail is that it's about 5% faster on average. Even if you cannot grab a Founders Edition 2070 Super, there are plenty of adequately cooled models that are close to that $500 price point, including MSI's own Ventus OC. So hopefully we can see some more realistic pricing for the 5700 XT Gaming X, in my opinion, because $150 over the reference model is just a bit too much. That positions it over plenty of the RTX 2070 Super models, which at the end of the day will give you slightly better gaming performance. And the same goes for the cards like the Asus Strix 5700 XT, which in my opinion are just not worth buying unless you're a hardcore AMD fanboy. Logically, you should just buy the lower cost, faster GPU. So if you are set on the RX 5700 XT, which most of you should be because it is a great GPU, most of you should be looking around the $450 price range for an aftermarket model. At that point, you are looking at some pretty good value even against the RTX 2070 Super, and thermals and noise levels will be good enough. If you are still interested though, you can find this one linked down below, and I will link a few other models as well, maybe some more affordable models and some RTX 2070 Super models as well. As always guys, a huge thanks for watching. Consider subscribing down below if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one.